everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. For everyone else, welcome back. Over the weekend, our library had their big book sale to support the Friends of the Library, and I ended up with a bag of books. Um, I am very thankful that I have the Barnes& and Noble membership and got this bag. But I also didn't expect to get quite this many books. Um, and most of them were just ones that popped out to me. I wasn't really going in with specific books in mind. Although I would love to get the finished, George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones, or well, what's released, the rest of the way. I think I have the first 4 books. It may be the first 3. Nope, first 4 books. So I have 4 of them. I think that there's a total of 6 released with the 7th coming. Or maybe it's 7 with an 8th, whatever it is. I have 4, and that's where we're at. But I'm going to share with you some of the books I got. As I said, many of these just really caught my eye based on the title, and because that was all I could see at first for many of these. And a few were like, there were a lot of copies at the library or at this book sale, so I went ahead and I went, that one's been pretty popular in the past. Let's do that. So I am going to start with the books that I got for my elementary literature class. This is a read aloud class. So I focus mainly on middle grade novels, or late early elementary novels, and then read them aloud to my students. So, and some of them I start with at the beginning of the year, and some of them I may not get to at all this year, just based on where the students sit. So I'm going to start with some of the earlier ones. All right. The one that I know I will read regardless of where we're at, attention wise, because this one, pretty much any group I've ever had for 1st through 3rd enjoy Mercy Watson. This one is Mercy Watson, Princess in Disguise. And I read this one around Halloween. Sometimes I also do Something Wonky This Way Comes, as a play on Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I believe also is a Halloween-esque one. So in this one, Mercy is going trick-or-treating. And my kids just love all of the Mercy Watson stories. And so this is a fun one that I can do around Halloween. It's not going to be scary. It's going to be a familiar character. But if they don't know who Mercy Watson is beforehand, it also gives them quite a few other books. There's at least 6 Mercy Watson tales, so it's a great jumping off point for them. I will come back to that one. Another one, this one I do want to read it first. But this is book 1 in the Penguins series, written by Jennifer Yusi. and it's The Incredible Adventures of Casper, the Cat Who Got Lost in Africa. Um, so this one, just there's a lot of adventures in it. It does have full color pictures. Oops. But not a whole lot of them. So it's a great one that maybe after we read Mercy Watson, which is a chapter book that has pictures on every page, and maybe after we read Flat Stanley, then we'll try this one. This one, we have a baby pangolin, um, who tries to teach Casper the cat how to eat termites with its tongue. And just the different troubles that pangolins have that maybe cats wouldn't naturally have, but Casper gets to experience because she's in Africa with this pangolin. The next one I got fits in very well with us being a Christian homeschool co-op, and me teaching history. So this one may be one that I use more in history class, especially towards the end of, or the middle of the year, when we are talking about the Revolutionary War. This one is Adventures in Odysseys, Imagination Station. The Redcoats Are Coming. And in this one, it's 1775 in Concord, Massachusetts. And Patrick and Beth go on the ride with Paul Revere. I remember reading a lot of The Adventures of Odyssey and listening to it on the radio when I was a kid. But instead of them being at Whit Whitaker's place, they are able to now travel through time to different places using the imagination station. So I'm going to keep this one in my back pocket, especially for history. I think this would be a great one to help them in that way. So I will also look and see how many of my first and second graders in literature are also in my American history, and that will show me where to read this one. Then next is everyone's favorite Beverly Cleary that many of us start with. And that is The Mouse and the Motorcycle series. I believe that I own The Mouse and the Motorcycle, but it's downstairs. I know I did not have these two. And I think I'm trying to look at the order. All right, yeah. So after Mouse and the Motorcycle, there is Runaway Ralph, where Ralph decides to hop on his motorcycle and head down the road to camp. But he finds out that camp is not all peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So we have Runaway Ralph, and then I also got Ralph S. Mouse, where Ralph and his cousins make a mess at the Mountain View Inn, and Ralph decides to take his motorcycle and leave. And he goes with his pal Ryan and goes to school. So I'm excited to share these with my students. All right, so the next two are longer chapter books. So if I have a group of students who really are engaged in read alouds, I'll go with these. These normally I start February, March, or April. And most of them take me about the whole month to read aloud to my students. We only meet once a week and for 55 minutes. So by the time I do attendance and pass out whatever busy item that we're going to do while we listen, I have about 45 minutes of reading. So it normally takes me about a month to finish longer chapter books like these. Sticking with Beverly Cleary, I have Henry Huggins. And Henry Huggins is a young man who lives in the Ramona Ramona universe. So there are some that are like Henry and Beezus, where Beezus and Ramona come from. This one, Henry finds a friendly dog and names the dog Ribsy, and they become inseparable and cause a lot of excitement on Clickatat Street. Sorry. So I'm excited to share this one with my students and to have it for myself. I remember reading this one with my daughter and I just loved it. I knew Ramona. I knew Ralph S. Mouse. I did not know about Henry Huggins. So it was a fun discovery with my daughter about 10 years ago. So I'm excited to share this one with my students who may not know Henry Huggins either. And then second to last, another favorite for early elementary is Judy Moody Was in a Mood. This is the first of the Judy Moody series. Bad moods, good moods, even back to school moods. Judy Moody has them all. When the teacher assigns the class the task of creating me collages, it puts Judy in a cut and paste mood. So this one especially, this one's a better one to start with before I do Henry Huggins, just because of the age range that it's meant for. This one's meant for 6 to 9. Henry Huggins is generally 8 to 12. And the reading ages for those they put on there are meant for independent readers, not read alouds. You normally can go a little higher to the next set if you're doing it a read aloud, because as the adult you can adjust. In this one, or in these series, there are at least 15 Judy Moody's. So again, it's a great one for me to read the first one in class, and then my students can continue the series at home if they desire. And then back to Kate DeCamillo. Oh my goodness, Kate DeCamillo. This one is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. This one, it does not have like a recommended age on the back. So I'm going to have to check this one out myself first. And then read it. But in this one, we have a China rabbit named Edward Tulane, and he couldn't move or speak, just watch and listen. And then one day he becomes lost and he has to make his journey home. So this one, depending on our year and depending on how my readers are, will depend on if we read this one. It seems to be pretty large print. There are some pictures, not as many, but enough that will help keep my students engaged. And so we'll give this one possibly a try this year. It may be one that I do a different year though. for the books that I bought for me just to enjoy and read, I have them kind of in different categories. These first two were, these first two were author buys. Um, the first one, and I'm double checking that I don't have it. I do not. Okay, good. Um, the first one is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. I have enjoyed everything I've read by Victoria Schwab. Her middle grade tend to be under the name Victoria Schwab, while her adult tend to be under V.E. Schwab. Um, just kind of um, it's a nice differentiation to help parents know which ones are safe or safer for their kids versus which ones maybe parents need to check a little deeper before they let their kids read them. So this one, Cast Drown, and now, and I'm assuming um that when she drowned, she was revived, because it says almost drowned. Um, but now she can pull back the veil and see ghosts, enter into the world of spirits. And now her parents are going to start hosting a TV show about the world's most haunted places. And because she's a student or a young adult, she must go where her parents go. So City of Ghosts, um, like I said, this is an auto by author. So when I saw it on the table, I definitely had to pick it up. And then the other auto by author is Marie Benedict. If you've watched in the past few years, I loved The Other Einstein and recently have read The Personal Librarian and absolutely loved it. So when I saw this one on the table, I went ahead and grabbed it. I know nothing about this person. This is Lady Clementine. And it is Winston Churchill's husband. 1909, Clementine steps off a train with her new husband, Winston. An angry woman emerges from the crowd to attack, shoving him in the direction of an oncoming train. Just before he stumbles, Clementine grabs him by his suit jacket. This will not be the last time Clementine Churchill will save her husband. Um, so, this is an interesting story. I have enjoyed the mentions in history of Churchill. We hear a lot about Churchill, just like with Einstein, we hear a lot about him, but not very much about their wives. So I love that Marie Benedict takes these very important men to history and shows us the women that stood by their sides through it all. The next two books I had picked up are ones that have been on my radar. I just didn't go in looking for them necessarily. I just saw them and picked them up. The first one is The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery. A.J. Fickery lives alone, and his bookstore is experiencing the worst sales in history. And now his prized possession, a rare collection of Poe poems, has been stolen. So this one, I just, oh, sorry. This one has been one that I keep going. I want to read it every time I see anyone talk about it or see it on a bookshelf, but it hasn't been the right time for me. So I'm gonna give this one a shot sometime soon. Now that I own it, it makes it a little bit easier for me to keep it in the forefront of my radar. And the other one is Mexican Gothic. This one I have heard so much about. It not This is the book of the month version, which is when I first started hearing about it. Um, but its popularity was really big for a few years after it came out. Yeah, so it was 2020. So a lot of people were reading then. This one's after receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, Naomi Tobada, sorry, heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside, unsure what she will find. Naomi is an unlikely rescuer. She's a glamorous debutante, more suited to cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing. But she's also tough, smart, and not afraid. Not afraid of her cousin's new English husband, a stranger who's menacing and alluring. Not of his father, the ancient patriarch who seems fascinated by Naomi, and not even of the house itself, which begins to invade Naomi's dreams with visions of blood and doom. So, I'm going to give this one a shot soon, but it was definitely one when I saw it for $4 at the bookstore in hardcover, or at the bookshop for $4 hardcover. I went ahead and grabbed it. There was a interesting um, occurrence that kept happening while I was browsing the book sale. The first book that I picked up in this small stack here of historical fictions was one I had heard of, but didn't really know anything of. I'd heard the title many times, and that is Sold on a Monday. This one is Two Children for Sale, is a sign that's posted I'm assuming a fence post. The sign is a last resort. It sits on a farmhouse porch in 1931, but could be found anywhere in an era of breadlines, bank runs, and broken dreams. It could have been written by any mother facing impossible choices. For struggling reporter Ellis Reed, the gut-wrenching scene evokes memories of his family's dark past. He snaps a photograph of the children, not meant for publication. But when it leads to his big break, the consequences are more devastating than he ever imagined. This is inspired by an actual newspaper photograph that stunned the nation. So I am really excited. Excited is the wrong word. I'm very intrigued by this one, along with these other two. There's a theme of children being put up for adoption so that people can continue surviving. So there was Sold on a Monday. And then I also found Orphan Train. And this one is 1854 and 1929. The so-called orphan trains ran regularly from cities of the East Coast to the farmlands of the Midwest, carrying thousands of abandoned children whose fate would be determined by pure luck. Would they be adopted by a kind and loving family, or would they face a childhood and adolescence of hard labor and servitude? As a young Irish immigrant, Vivian Daly was one such child, sent by rail from New York City to an uncertain future a world away. Returning east later in life, Vivian leads a quiet, peaceful existence on the coast of Maine. The memories of her upbringing rendered a hazy blur. But in her attic, hidden in trunks, are vestiges of a turbulent past. Um, so we have a character, Molly, who's going to come alongside Vivian and help her clean out her attic, and kind of dig through some of these um, tragic memories that Vivian doesn't really remember. Uh, I'm assuming until things start being pulled out. So, Orphan Train, another one during a really hard time in American history that um, children, there were more children who were in need than um, people able to house them. So that one is one I'm looking forward to delving into. I doubt I will read those two and this other one in any one month, but you never know what is coming. Um, this one is Stolen from Her Mother. This is Ireland, 1941. War rages across the world, and Kate struggles on her family farm by the wild Atlantic Ocean, living off rations, and looking after her sick father. She doesn't dare dream of falling in love. But when she meets American airman Tony, whose blue eyes are as stormy as the seas, her life collides with the war in ways she never imagined. They fall madly in love, stealing kisses in the rolling fields, and Tony vows to make her his wife. She does end up with child, and she's put in a home for unmarried mothers where the windows are covered in barbed wire. The girls survive on scraps and sleep in a crammed dormitory. And when she gives birth, her daughter is sold to a stranger. And so, and when she comes out, she continues to spend her time looking for her baby. So interesting tie-in of a book I just saw the title of and how it overlaps with many of these. So there's lots going on there, and I'm really interested in reading these. As I was reading the Orphan Train description just now, it reminded me of this other one that I got from the book sale, and it's K.A. Tucker's Say You Still Love Me. In this one, oh no, it wasn't this one. Hold on. All right. So it wasn't that one. I'll come back to that one in a minute. Shirley Jumps, The Marvelous Monroe Girls. This one is the Monroe girls are trying to pretend that life is fine. While they miss the closeness that they had together, but the sisters end up stumbling across a stash of letters that reveal their grandmother's secret life. And so this is used to bring them together. This one, the going through old stuff, reminded me, or reading The Orphan Train reminded me of this one and how they're going through things, bringing up old memories and stories. And same with this one, going through grandma's stuff, and figuring out grandma's secrets. And then it seems that the last 4 books have this tie to secrets, more secrets. And so it's kind of interesting how so many of my books that caught my attention at this book sale somehow tie together. This first one is Anna E. Collins, His Other Life. In this one, we have Jonah, who has died in a car accident, and our main character um, is Jonah's wife, and she um let me just read it. 2 years after my beloved Jonah was killed in a car accident, I retraced my steps to the romantic hotel we were staying in when his life was cut tragically short. The last thing I remember is the warmth of his hand in mine as we drove through the pine trees toward our candlelit dinner. Then the beeping of monitors when I wake up alone in a hospital bed days later. What really happened that night? When I arrive at the hotel, a nervous looking employee hands me my husband's jacket. It still smells like him, and I discover something inside. A hastily scrawled note. 2 words that turn my world upside down. Call Gemma. No one in Jonah's life knows who Gemma could be. Flashes of an argument rush back to me painfully, and I feel myself fall apart. I remember his drunkenness, the sound of my own voice, heartbroken and betrayed. Did he use our anniversary to tell me he'd had an affair? Um, mm. So, I'm gonna. This one just caught my eye. The secrets again. Um, I guess I have a interest in hidden agendas. Um, so this one, the secrets of a husband, um, come out after his death. And then I have Tony Shiloh's In Search of a Prince, in which Brielle is content teaching at a New York public school and taking annual summer vacations with her mother to Martha's Vineyard. But everything changes when her mom drops a bombshell. Brielle is really a princess in the island kingdom of Oloro Eel, an island off the coast of Africa, and she must immediately assume her royal position because the health of her grandfather is failing. So, again, Brielle is distraught by the secrets her mother kept about who she was. So maybe this one will be a little more um secrets kept like in the Princess Diaries, instead of life changing as in his other life. Both events would be very life changing. But this one seems a little bit more light-hearted of secrets kept. And then another mother-daughter secrets being kept. We have Izzy Stone's mother fatally shot her father while he slept. Devastated by her mother's apparent insanity, Izzy, now 17, refuses to visit her mother in prison. But her new foster parents, employees at the local museum, have enlisted Izzy's help in cataloging items at a long-shuttered state asylum. There, amid piles of abandoned belongings, Izzy discovers a stack of unopened letters, a decades-old journal, and a window into her own past. So we have, and then the journal and things, it seems, belong to Clara Cartwright, who was committed to this public asylum. So, we'll see what secrets are revealed in what she left behind. Again, this one's probably a heavier topic, but as long as I don't read too many of those heavy topics back to back, I tend to be okay. But this one just really interested me um, in the knowing that the mother killed the father during the night. So we're gonna check that one out eventually. And then that brings me to the last one, which I thought was the Marvelous Monroe Girls synopsis. But this is, again, K.A. Tucker, Say You Still Love Me. I'm sure that there are secrets in this one just based on what's going on here. We have a 29-year-old VP at her dad's multi-billion-dollar real estate development firm, living with friends in a swanky downtown penthouse, when a guy from summer camp that they were both counselors at walks back into her life. He is a guy from the wrong side of the tracks and doesn't even seem to remember her name, but she remembers him. Um, so, it says, despite Kyle's distant attitude, she's convinced their reunion isn't at all by accident and that his feelings for her still run deep. So we're going to see where this goes. When I first picked this up and read the first sentence, I thought it was going to be a father-daughter tale, but it is not. So I bought this one in hopes of giving it a shot very soon as well. So there you have it. I had 10 $3 books, a $4 book, and a bunch of these $2 books. Nine $2 books. So total of $52 for 20 books. I don't think you can really beat that anywhere else. So I'm excited to put these on my to be read shelf and give them a shot, hopefully in the next 6 months or so. But that's all I got for today. I'll see you soon. Bye.